So we should be live. We should be live. What's going on, guys? Hopefully you're well. Hopefully you're fine and well. On this, what is it, Monday, Tuesday? It's Tuesday. Tuesday evening here in the UK. A good weekend of boxing coming up. Really good weekend. We have the return of Gennady Golovkin. He is taking on Ryota Murata in Japan. Middleweight unification fight. Both guys are punchers. Both guys are aggressive. That's going to be a fan-friendly affair, regardless of how it goes down. That's a tremendous fight. Good to see a unification fight in the middleweight division. Middleweight in recent years has been rather stagnant, in my opinion, so it's good to see that fight go down. And on the undercard, you also have Junto Nakatani, who is worth looking out for. He's a really fun fighter. So if you watch that Golovkin card, keep an eye out for Junto Nakatani, flyweight champion, really good fighter. And obviously we have the return of Ryan Garcia this weekend. He is fighting Emmanuel Tagawa, Ghanaian fighter. I think Ryan Garcia should win, but Tagawa is somewhat awkward. He's experienced. And Ryan Garcia has been out of a ring for quite some time, so it'll be interesting to see how he looks. And there's also a PBC card headlined by Erickson Lubin versus Sebastian Fundora. Great fight. And by the way, on that undercard, you have Sergio Garcia versus Tony Harrison. Another really good fight. So this weekend, we have some good fights. We have some interesting fights to look forward to. Last weekend, of course, was rather bleak. Not too much happened. But this weekend, man, it's looking good. It's looking good. Yeah, we got boxing. Big up to yourself. 150 Dream Team. Salute, bro. Hopefully you're keeping well. Hopefully you're keeping well. And hopefully you're looking forward to this weekend's boxing. Fury versus White. 94k capacity. Interesting. Yeah, I'm hoping it sells out. It'll be good. It'll be good, you know. It'll be good. Is Isaac Lowe on the undercard? God help us. Isaac Lowe, Jesus Christ. And he's fighting a guy called Nick Ball. Who's Nick Ball? He's got a good record. Unbeaten, 14-0, 7 knockouts. I've never seen the guy fight before, I can't lie. He's never fought more than an 8-rounder, so I'm assuming Isaac Lowe's going to win. But you never know. Is there anything else on the undercard? Okay. Yeah, the Fury White undercard, there's more fights now. So you've got obviously Fury versus White. You have Isaac Lowe versus Nick Ball. Anthony Kakache versus Jonathan Romero. That's not a bad... hang on, is that the same Jonathan Romero I'm thinking of? Yeah, he's the guy who lost to Kiko Martinez years ago. I guess that's an okay fight. David Adelaide, he's fighting Chris Healy, not great. And Tommy Fury's fighting a guy who's 10-1. There you go. There you go. What can you say? What can you say? Yeah, tell me about it, bro. Good. It's a good weekend, bro. It's a good weekend. Yeah, so much boxing this weekend. Ali Selby's retired. Good decision. Yeah, former world champion. Had a few defenses. Fought in America, I believe, once. I mean, he had a decent career, all things considered. He wasn't a bad fighter. Thank you for the Based Boxing Basement recommendation. Had me in stitches a few times. Yeah, he's got a great channel, man. He's got a great channel. Love his shit. Yeah, Isaac Lowe kind of got fucked up, though, bro, in his last fight. That's a good step up, that is, Nathan, for Ammo Williams. I like Ammo Williams. He's got a style similar to Spence. I'm not saying he's as good, but stylistically, he's similar. I like Ammo Williams. Warlock, big up to yourself. Or Varlock, big up to yourself. Thoughts on Cuba now allowing professional boxing? Interesting to see. Yeah, it's good. The more the merrier, that's what I say. The more countries who can compete and are easily able to compete is better, in my opinion. Boxing's a global sport now. So that's interesting. Yeah, good on. Yeah, I'm glad. Hopefully we get Andy Cruz in the pros. Golovkin's my favourite fighter today, but I hope Golovkin gets TKO'd quietly or takes a dive versus Murata, just so he doesn't get knocked the fuck out like Amir Khan versus Canelo in the trilogy. Nobody needs to see that, bro. If that's the way it's got to go down, that's the way it's got to go down. That's what I say. As much as I like Golovkin, he knows what he's signing up for. Honestly, Lee Davis, good question. Right now, who would I rate? Josh Taylor or Tyson Fury as the best UK fighter? I felt Josh Taylor lost his last fight, but at the same time, his body of work in recent years, I can't hold that against him. So I'm going to still say Josh Taylor, honestly. Damn. Ryan Garcia is at the DAZN pay-per-view in Canada. Is that because they want to test the platform before the Canelo fight? Or is this the start of pushing subpar fights to pay-per-view like Sky did years ago? Yeah, if I was Canadian, I'd be pissed. I'd be pissed. Of all fights, Ryan Garcia versus fucking Emmanuel Tagawa's pay-per-view. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. I'd like to know the rationale behind putting that fight on pay-per-view. I'm not Canadian, but that shit sucks. Yeah, Lee was decent. Yeah. He was one of those guys. He was a belt holder. He was never the man, but he was a good fighter. Yeah, Lubin Fundora is a very good fight. I've got Fundora. I think Lubin is a much better boxer, but his chin is suspect. He's a lot smaller, and I can't see him holding off Fundora for 12 rounds. That's what I see. I think you'll see Lubin more than likely will win the early rounds, and eventually he'll just get outmanned, basically. Yeah, Andy Cruz. Andy Cruz is the one. If he could turn pro, Andy Cruz is fucking special. Andrew Selby was a wasted talent, I agree. Andrew was more highly regarded than his brother Lee, yeah. Absolutely. Bro, there's some good talent coming out of Cuba right now. Obviously, you've got Andy Cruz in the amateurs, but David Morrell, who I really like, Yolvis Gomez, who looks very good. There's some good talent in Cuba. Kurt Walker's a talent. Watch out for him on the Fury White undercard. Okay, I've not seen him fight. Golovkin will never get stopped. Bro, I would never say never, but his chin is still looking pretty good. Who would you like to see Who would you like to see Florian Marku fight next? Honestly, I'd like to see him fight Chris Kongo. Yeah, Chris Kongo, in terms of like a competitive fight. But I understand why they're chasing the Amir Khan fight. It makes a lot of sense for Florian Marku in terms of like building his profile, etc. It's a really winnable fight now. Khan is shot to shit, but he's still got name value. So the Amir Khan fight makes sense. And if I was managing Florian Marku, I would go for the Amir Khan fight. I wouldn't go for the Chris Kongo fight if I was his manager. But as a fan, wanting to see competitive fights, I want to see Florian Marku, Chris Kongo. Yeah, I mean, we can't baby these fighters, man. Whatever choice they make, that's what they make at the end of the day. We're not seeing any of their money. As much as I like Golovkin, if that's the way it ends, that's the way it ends. Only as good as your last fight. So for me, it's got to be Fury. I get that. I get that, Clouds Gaming. I get that. Yeah, I like watching Marku. When he first come on the scene, I wasn't a big fan, I'll be honest, but he's grown on me. He's entertaining. He's entertaining inside and outside the ring. There's always something going on with Florian Marku. So, yeah, I like Marku. I don't think he's going to go all of the way or anything like that, but he's fun. Yeah, that's the way though, boxing learner. Yeah, it's a shame, but it is what it is. The reasoning DAZN has given is that they assess pay-per-view fights on a fight-by-fight basis, and the Garcia fight couldn't have happened unless it was pay-per-view in Canada. That's bullshit, bro. That's bullshit. Yeah, and listen, Andy Cruz could take those fights relatively early on, Brandon. Give him a couple of fights against durable guys, then chuck him in at the deep end. Yeah, why not? Why not? Especially Rivera, sorry. I don't really rate Michel Rivera that highly. I really don't. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's a really good boxer with a terrible chin. Yeah, it's similar to Tony Harrison. He's similar. He's a very good boxer. Lovely jab, good movement. But that chin, man, that chin lets him down. And the gas tank as well. Who is the best anti-Cuban boxer? David Morrell or Dorticos? I think I'll have to say Dorticos because that guy is just pure violence. But yeah, both are anti-Cuban in terms of style. I like Congo, but he doesn't have that dog in him, in my opinion, to take him to a higher level. Yeah, that's the impression I got in that Michael McKinson fight. But who knows? Maybe he's learned from it. Who knows? Because we'll see. But I like his style. I hear Eubank versus Brook is in negotiations. They agreed on the weight. I hope it's 149 pounds. Yeah, I mean, I've got no interest whatsoever in that fight, to be honest. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Marku's ceiling is not that high in my opinion, but he's a bit limited. But he's great to watch. I agree. Okay, Kurt Walker was the one that beat McGrail in the Olympics, managed by Mick and Jamie Conlon, and with Top Rank. Okay. That is truly Davis. Tyson Fury also looked like trash against Wilder in their third fight, yeah. Brad Ray, he's a fun domestic fighter, but I see him coming unstuck at domestic level, like the higher end of domestic level. Zach Chelly, he's got some ability, but I'm not convinced by Zach Chelly. I think he can be out hustled, outworked. Not convinced. He's okay. Khan was shit. Khan was shit shot, but when Ben called him out, Marku calling him out after Brook walked through him is embarrassing. That's true, but nobody's viewing Florian Marku on the same level as Conor Benvo. You know, so I don't think Marku calling out Khan isn't as bad as Conor Ben calling out Khan, in my opinion. Yeah, that's why I don't blame people for streaming fights. I agree. Yeah, Bradley Ray can be in some good fights at domestic level. I agree. Yeah, Jordan Reynolds. Yeah, Jordan Reynolds does. Linus Adofia also. We've got a couple of guys. Yeah, I think Zach Chelly beats John Doherty, but it's a good fight. I'm going to go with Linus just because he's near from where I am. That bad chin must just be a Harrison thing. Yeah, his chin is suspect, man. Good boxer, like I said, but his chin just lets him down. Big up to official. Salute, bro. Salute. If terrible fights weren't on pay-per-view, people wouldn't be streaming it. Or lesser people would be streaming it, absolutely. Thoughts on Christian and Bealey? I think he's the best prospect at 168. Yeah, I done a video on him a couple of years ago, bro. I rate him. At 168, people are talking about David Morrell, Pavel Silyagin. But, you know, and Billy doesn't really get much credit, but he's a hard-punching dude, man. Strong, good fighter. Yeah, I rate him as well. Eubanks should be fighting Andrade or Charlo. But again, those two guys have fights booked. So, like, if I'm Chris Eubank Jr., he's not going to get a big fight next. Everybody is booked up. Golovkin's got a fight coming up. Charlo's got a fight coming up. Andrade's got a fight coming up, etc., etc. If I was Eubank Jr., I might fight somebody like Gabriel Rosado to stay sharp and then go for a big fight in the winter against Golovkin or whoever. Eubank Jr. is useless. I wouldn't be surprised if Brook beat him. I would. I just think Brook is done, bro. Good to see you, Del. My picks for the weekend are Fundora by 9th round. I tend to agree. I think Fundora wins late. Garcia, 7th round KO. I agree. I think it's going to be mid-round. And Golovkin, 6th round TKO against Murata. The Golovkin fight, I think, is going to go a bit later, but I've got Golovkin by stoppage. But I agree. I see where you're coming from on those picks. I'm not sure with Conor Benn anymore, bro. I'm not sure. I think it's likely. It'll be likely. What do you think of Harlem Eubank? He's come on a bit, in my opinion. He's fighting Sean Dodd on the Adofia Bentley card. Yeah, Harlem Eubank, when I first saw him, I'll be honest, looked terrible. He's definitely improved since then, but again, I don't see a guy who's going to get above domestic level. But he's decent. He's okay. He's got better. Big up to Outlaw Boxing Club, a.k.a. Jed. Big up to yourself, Jed. Chelly loads up too much. He's strong and physically tough. Yeah, he is, yeah. But like you said, he loads up too much. And in his fight with, I think it was Cody Davis, he was guilty of that and got outworked, got out-hustled. He never really had that sort of gas tank for 10, 12 rounds. Yeah, Eddie was hoping to bag either Khan or Brook for Ben. He's going to have to dig up Brandon Rios or somebody, yeah. Well, he's fighting Chris Van Heerden next, which isn't that great in my opinion. So, yeah. Yeah, I thought Chelly beat Jack Cullen. Yeah, quite clearly as well. Yeah, Josh Kelly's back next month, yep. Again, I don't rate Josh Kelly that highly boxing, but again, it's good to see him come back, I guess. Yeah, Yolvis Gomez, he looks very good. Big puncher. And again, doesn't have that Cuban style. Very interesting guy at 154. That's a good fight. Brad Ray versus Hamza Shiraz. I'd like to see it. IPTV for me, forget pay-per-view. Yes, big up to yourself. Now, this is a really good fight on DAZN. It's coming up in the next month or so in Spain, European title fight. Jay Metcalf versus Kerman Leharaga. Good fight. Very good fight. Yeah, exactly. Kell Brook is shot, bro. Chris beats him. Especially at 147, cutting all that weight. That's true, yeah. He could have fought Munguia or Janibek, but no, he's a baby. A 33-year-old baby, yeah. Though Munguia's fighting somebody, he's talking about fighting Daniel Jacobs. Janibek, though, he could have fought Janibek. Yeah, very tricky outlaw boxing. He doesn't have a Russian style. His style is peculiar. It's hard to compare him to anybody. Very unorthodox, very gangly, very, unorthodox is his approach. But he's interesting. He's interesting. Dignam versus Janibek prediction. Janibek stoppage rounds 5 to 7. Is that official? Is that fight official? Yeah, those are good wins for Christian Mbili, and he brutally knocked out Mohammadi. If you guys haven't seen that KO, really good KO when he recently knocked out Mohammadi. Okay, Rosado's fighting Shane Mosley Jr. I think Rosado wins that fight. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Chris either, but come on, bro. Brook hasn't looked good in a while, yeah. Yeah, oh yeah, Chris Eubank Jr. beats the piss out of Kell Brook. I agree. Now, I agree again. Tim Zhu against the winner of Sergio Garcia versus Tony Harrison. But the problem is, I think Sergio's going to win that fight against Tony. And Sergio's got one of those styles where he's high risk, low reward. If you beat Sergio Garcia, you're not going to get much credit because nobody knows who he is. But in reality, he's a damn good fighter. I thought he beat Sebastian Fundora. Sergio Garcia. He's a good fighter. He's a good fighter. He's a world-class top 10 fighter, in my opinion. That's a good fight, you two guys there. Lewis Ritson versus O'Hara Davis. Either Ritson outworks Davis or Davis knocks him out, one of the two. Nice one, Marianne G. Good to see you here, bro. Okay, it's official for May. So Janibek versus Danny Dignam. Janibek wins that fight mid-round stoppage. Danny Dignam is a decent domestic level guy. He's got a fun style, carries a tiny bit of power, but Janibek is going to fuck him up, really. Okay, so it's official. Okay, cool. See, I learned from you guys, man. Back in the day, man, I was on top of all of this shit, bro. But now, you know, it's just time. I need to put more work in, though, in regards to this channel. I need to put more work in. I need to fucking stop talking about it and do it. Prograis versus Zepeda or Matias would be class. Indeed it would. Indeed it would. There's so many great fights at 140, man. So many great fights. How do you see Tim Tszyu faring against Charlo, Castano, Lubin, and Conwell? I think he knocks out Lubin. Charles Conwell, I'm unsure on. I think he's good. I'd probably lean towards Tim Tszyu on points. I think Charlo beats Tszyu, and I think Castano beats Tszyu. I've got Fundora by late stoppage, Marianne G. Again, I think Lubin's a better boxer, more technically sufficient in his approach. But Fundora is just so much bigger. And eventually, I think he's going to get to that chin of Lubin. Good fight, though. Sergio Garcia would school Tim at the moment. He's underrated, bro. I'm telling you, he's so underrated. He beat Sebastian Fundora, in my opinion. Personally, I don't think so, Larry. Me personally, I don't think so. Too many technical mistakes. In particular, his jab. If he carries that same jab technique against Ryan Garcia, he's going to get knocked out with a left hook. He's an orthodox fighter, and when he throws that jab, despite having a really long reach, he's got a habit of reaching in, where his head will come over his front foot, and his right hand, he'll then drop his right hand as he's throwing the jab, so he's wide open for a left hook. Wide open for a left hook. In this fight, I think he needs to smother Ryan. Don't box with Ryan on the outside. There's too many technical flaws in Tagawa's game. But I wouldn't say so, no. I think he could make it awkward, but I can't see him beating Ryan. Absolutely not. Another good guy at 140, Sandor Martin. Another good guy. Mbili knocks Belanga clean out, Shadow Combat. Clean the fuck out. Yeah, Bolotnik's had a good win on that DAZN card last week. Was a good fight. Yeah, he beat some unbeaten dude. I think he was Croatian or Serbian. One of the two. Yeah, and Beely's good. Nobody's really talking about him, though. He's a good fighter. And he's got a very good style to watch as well. None of this pussyfooting around. He's pure fucking aggression, which I like. You guys know me by now. But yeah, he's based in Canada, I believe, and Beely. Yeah, same, bro. I need to keep up more, man. I need to keep up more. But yeah, I can't see Danny winning that fight. I think he's tailor-made. Yeah, looking forward to seeing the Garcia-Harrison fight. Definitely taking Garcia big if he's anywhere near evens. Again, I just don't trust the officiating. That's why I don't bet on boxing. Or I rarely bet on boxing. It's just because of the officiating. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those. I think Tony Harrison has more in the tank than we're giving him credit for, yeah. He looked awful in his last fight against Bryant Perella. He arguably lost that fight. It was a draw. Maybe that was just an off night. It could be. But the guy's always had skills, though, Tony Harrison. Like I said, it's more the physical attributes that let Tony down. His chin, his stamina. That's what lets him down. But he's a really good boxer, Tony Harrison. Really good boxer. He's arguably got the best jab at 154 when he's on form. Very good boxer. Yep, they did. They did, bro. You can't really argue it. You can't really argue it. Artur Beterbiev versus Joe Smith Jr. is a 60-40 fight for me. Very intriguing because Smith can crack, and we've seen Beterbiev get put down in the past. I reckon he will stop Smith in the championship rounds, though. Yeah, it's a dangerous fight for Beterbiev. Well, it's a dangerous fight for both guys, obviously. But I think Beterbiev in that fight needs to smother Joe Smith Jr. Needs to really get on his chest and stick to him like glue. Maul him in the clinch. Work with his free hand. Work on the inside. Joe primarily generates power from mid-range. That's when he's most powerful, but you can smother him. Maxim Vlasov did that on the occasion. You can smother Joe's power. And Beterbiev, one thing about him, he can still generate real power even in the clinch. So if I'm Beterbiev, I try and rush Joe. I try and rush him and stick to him like glue. Fair dealt, I've backed Lubin pretty heavy. Really think he has it in him. Fundora lost to Garcia, and a southpaw in Clark got gifts in both fights. Think it's a matter of time before he's found out. I agree, but I just don't trust Lubin's chin, bro. And not only don't I trust his chin, this is the killer for me. It appears to me that he doesn't trust his chin. Look at him since that Charlo knockout. To me, there's been several fights where he's looked uneasy, unsure of himself. And that's when a bad chin really becomes detrimental, is when the fighter himself has that in the back of his mind. Yeah, he'll hang around for a few rounds, Lee, but he's got no chance of winning. Another non-puncher. I like the fight, Randy Orton. Thoughts on Buatsi Richards. Is Spider overrated coming off his performance versus Bivol, who was coming off a long layoff? Personally, I had it wider to Bivol than the cards suggested. I agree, I think it was wider, but still, I think he put up a good account of himself in that fight. And before that, he brutally knocked out Shakan Pitters. So I think that's a good opponent for Buatsi. Richards is crafty, he's wiry, he's got underrated power. So I like the fight. Yeah, Andrew and Jason Maloney, good fighters. I like them both. Not world class, but they are solid contenders. Yeah, it's not a great undercard, Rem. Charles Conwell needs to get back in the mix with the top guys at 154. He's looked damn good from what I've seen of him, yeah. Of course, he had that infamous fight with Patrick Day. But yeah, he's a good fighter. Thoughts on Lerone Richards? Good fighter, crafty boxer, a good lead hand, nice defense, etc. Not a fan-friendly style, but he's effective at a certain level. I certainly wasn't picking him to beat Gongora, so he's a good boxer. Yeah, he's a good boxer. See, ideally, I wouldn't mind seeing him versus John Ryder, but, you know, obviously that's not going to happen. I've got Mbili. I've got Christian Mbili beating Lerone Richards. He's not going to be as passive as Gongora, because primarily Gongora was a bit of a boxer puncher / counter puncher, whereas Mbili is more aggressive. He's not going to be so passive and box with Lerone Richards. So I've got Mbili. Good fight though. Andrade's an idiot for ducking Janibek to fight Parker, especially if it goes wrong, he's going to look like a clown. Because one thing about Parker, I don't know how good this guy is. He looks good in these squash matches, and it appears that he generates power. But ultimately, I don't know how good he is. But who knows? He could be a banana skin for Andrade. Who knows? Munguia ducked Bubu, Charlo, Janabek, Adames, and Derevianjenko in the span of a year. I don't get it, bro. I don't get it. I understand. I understood when he first went to middleweight, he wanted a few fights to accustom himself to the weight. Fair enough. But now it's time, bro. Now it's time. Yeah, it'll definitely be a good fight though. Joe is live. Listen, I lost a lot of respect for Joe after that Vlasov fight, but regardless, he's still a good fighter. I'm not going to say he's not. He's extremely dangerous. And if Beterbiev fucks around, he could get knocked out. Decent test, Nathan. Decent. Again, though, it's time. It's time with Beterbiev. He needs to get these fights quickly. That's the thing. Big up to Bruce Goes, man. Salute to Bruce Goes. By the way, we have some channels here. Bruce Goes got a really good boxing channel. Check him out. Official Scorecard Boxing. Check him out as well. Some good people here, man. Some good people. Yeah, I don't trust his chin either. Great shout about him not trusting it too. Fuck me. Got me doubting it now, but I can't go back on my bet. Listen, man, follow your gut. Don't listen to me. Always follow your own instinct. That's what I say. Because he could outbox. He could outbox Fundora. He's got the skills to do it. But does he have a chin? That's the question. Fava Beans, Canelo is aging Beterbiev out. Beterbiev will stop Canelo early, in my opinion. Yeah, it depends, though. Again, it depends on what Beterbiev shows up. How old will he be? I think he's good. He's a good boxer, Larry. He is a good boxer, Kid Galahad, but he's going to give up some of that size he had at featherweight, because he's going to go to 130 next, super featherweight. So he's going to give up some size. Yeah, that's the thing with Lerone Richards. He's never going to be a ticket seller, and he's accepted that. I don't find his style boring though, because he's quite nice. He's quite I don't know. He's got nice technique about him. I wouldn't necessarily call him a runner. It's not like he runs around. He holds his feet. He maintains range, but he doesn't throw much. He's very economical. I don't mind him. Again, he's not one of my favorites, but he's not one of those guys who I think, fuck me, this guy's fighting again. I hope Parker wins against Andrade. Big jump up in levels, though. Yes, it is. It is. Yeah, Munguia's over 40 fights and still hasn't fought a champion at 160. Yeah, wake me up when we get there with Munguia. I like Munguia, but it's getting a bit silly now, isn't it? If you can hang on for the early onslaught against Andrade, then the fight is only going to get easier. I recall Williams really wobbled him in round 9. Yeah, he did. He hurt Andrade in round 9. Andrade was holding on for dear life. Yeah. Yeah, Callum Johnson is fucked, bro. He's had injury problems for years and years and years. And he arguably lost his last fight as well. That's the same, actually. Yeah, there's other guys at middleweight who haven't done shit. That's true. It's just middleweight right now is just stagnant. I'm glad we've got this fight this weekend, a unification fight. Maybe that will get the division going. Fingers crossed. No problem, official, man. No problem. How would you see Fabio Wardley versus Nathan Gorman? I mean, I think Nathan's a better boxer, but he's too fat, man. He's too fat. His conditioning's awful. His dedication's questionable. I'd probably take Wardley, to be honest. Who do you think has the worst fan base, non-UK and non-American? So not from the UK, not from America. I don't know really, to be honest, because they're the two fan bases that I'm exposed to the most. So it's hard to say really. Yes, big up to Carlos Mendoza. Callum Johnson should fight Anthony Yarde next. Very winnable fight for Johnson. I'd like to see it, bro, but Anthony Yarde is mad. I think he's #1 contender with a WBO, and he's going to get called Mando. So that fight's not going to happen. But honestly, right now, might be controversial. I pick Anthony Yarde. I think Callum Johnson is done. I think he's done. Too many injuries, too much inactivity. And again, in his last fight, he looked awful. Very good question. Who would you pick in the pros, Andy Cruz or Keyshawn Davis? Honestly, bro, I'd like to see Andy Cruz have at least one fight in the pros first. But let's say they fought next month in the pros. I'll probably still go with Andy Cruz. I can't lie. But yeah, I think both guys will have a great career in the pros. Obviously, Keyshawn's already turned pro. I think he's a very good talent. And Andy Cruz obviously is just fucking phenomenal. Phenomenal. Yeah, I mean, Callum Johnson, he was a good amateur. He won the Commonwealth gold medal in 2010. And I think even now he's had less than 20 fights, Callum Johnson. When did Callum Johnson turn pro? Let's have a look. Callum Johnson. Callum Johnson turned pro in December of 2010, and he's only had 21 fights in that time. So 12 years as a pro, 21 fights. There you have it. Oh, Huey Fury in a hard 50-50 fight next, according to Peter. Interesting. Who's it going to be? I wouldn't mind seeing the Hellenius fight for Huey Fury. I think that fight makes sense. If I was managing him, I'd try and get the Hellenius fight. That's true, yeah. Genius move to donate to Derby FC for that fight. Yeah, that fight wasn't going to sell out a school gym before that move. Now it'll near enough sell out with Derby football fans alone. Fair fucks, Frank. Yeah, exactly. That's a good way to try and sell some tickets. Nathan Gorman is a muppet. Yeah. Again, I can't stand these fighters, man. It's mainly heavyweights, obviously, who just turn up grossly out of shape. And I understand boxing's not a fucking bodybuilding contest. I understand that. But you can see when a guy's conditioned or he's not. And there's so many fucking heavyweights now who turn up looking like the Michelin Man. It's embarrassing to watch. If I was a promoter, yeah, I'd be embarrassed to put Nathan Gorman on TV. I'd be embarrassed. I'd say to him, bro, you're gonna fucking stay on the undercards until you get in shape. I'm not expecting a six-pack or whatever, but at the same time, I'm not expecting a six-pack of rolls either. Get in shape, man. Jesus. It could be Huey versus Hunter or Wallin. Yeah, Wallin would make sense. Because Wallin recently fought on a Sky card. That would make sense, yeah. That would make sense. Nathan Gorman's a poor man's Tyson Fury. He's like a shit ABBA tribute act. He's not even. I wouldn't even say he's a poor man's Tyson Fury, bro. To be honest. Who am I picking for Canelo versus Bivol? I still have to make my mind up. But honestly, knowing what we know, I'll say Canelo. Most biased officiating: #1 Canada, 2 Poland, 3 Spain, 4 UK, 5 USA. I'm going to say UK, US joint #1, and then there's the rest. That's what I'll say. Yeah, I forget. I forgot Yard was WBO Mando. Either way, either Smith or Beterbiev destroy him. I'd still pick Johnson to beat Yard. Only domestic level guy who I'd pick over him is Callum Smith. I get you. If we're talking a few years ago, I think I would tend to agree. But right now, I can't see it, bro. I think Callum is done. Maybe the last fight was just a one-off, but he's like 36, 37 now, bro. A lot of injuries, a lot of inactivity. I think Callum's done. Callum Johnson, that is. Andy Cruz will probably be avoided like the plague early on in his pro career. Might be a few years until we see him in a real fight. Could be true. Could be true. But I think they'll try and market Andy Cruz. He's got an interesting style. He's got a fan-friendly style. Huey Fury, the kind of chap to fight Joe on the back foot against Joe Biden. Yes, big up to Apology Man. Nice to see you. Hopefully you're keeping well. Hopefully you're keeping well, bro. Can't work out if Callum Smith has power or not. Against Canelo and Ryder, looked like he had pillow fists. Yet his last fight, he sent a guy into a convulsion. Weight drained at 168, maybe? Yeah, absolutely. He had to have been weight drained at 168. I mean, just look at the dude, man. He's huge. He's like 6'3", 6'3.5", whatever. He's a big dude. Big dude. I swear David Hay fat-shamed Gorman in his TV debut and seems like he's only put on weight since. Yeah, exactly, Randy Orton. Exactly. Snake hips. Unlucky, I guess. Today's heavyweights are despicable. They all look like they grew up at one certain household from the fuck's sake. Jesus. But yeah, there's too many heavyweights now who turn up looking like absolute shit. And again, I'm not expecting a fucking Ken Norton every time. I'm not expecting that. I'm not expecting a Mike Tyson. Just, a guy who's conditioned, man. A guy who's conditioned. And a guy who looks like he actually trains. Being a bit podgy doesn't matter. That can be natural. Like someone like Alexander Povetkin, he was always a bit podgy, but you could tell the guy fucking trained. You could tell that he was still an athlete, right? I think your ramrod jab could change the game. Facts. I do like that phrase quite a lot. Ramrod jab. Yeah, he does that. Mind you, Rocky Fielding and Ndam don't have great chins. Let's be real. Big up to Rich. Salute. Yeah, Danny at 163. Yeah, he's going to be drained. I mean, again, bro, that fight. What's the point, man? Like, regardless, I felt Danny beat John Ryder, but he looked like fucking shit. He looked awful. And now you're going to drag him down to 163. Listen, I like Danny. I like Danny Jacobs. He's always fought top competition, but he's looking like he's on the way out now, Danny Jacobs. And yeah, exactly, over the hill as well. Smith has my dimensions, and I can barely make 170. Yeah, I'm a bit shorter than Callum Smith. I'm like 6'1", 6'2", and I'm about 168 right now. I'm a super middleweight. I'm a super middleweight myself. But if I was a pro, I'd be fucking cutting down to fucking 154 being a weight bully. Heavyweight division is so overrated. Only a few standout fighters, and most of the prospects look stiff as shit. And another thing is these prospects are not moving quick enough. I mean, look at Hrgovic, look at Yoka, 2016 medalists, not moving quick enough. Even Joe Joyce. Joe Joyce had a couple of good fights. Bryant Jennings and Daniel Dubois. But again, not active enough. Not active enough. Oh yeah, absolutely. A lot of fighters would be better off moving up a weight class. Yeah, Dave Allen was an utter disgrace. Dude's worth millions. and he was not funny. Socks in pants, what a twat, yeah. I'm not sure whether he's worth millions, but he's certainly got a few quid. I mean, listen, I guess you get it any way you can. And I wouldn't necessarily knock anyone's hustle, but again, for him to get so many opportunities is a bit of a joke, you know? But I'm not going to knock his hustle. He identified a certain market, a certain demographic, and he capitalized. I mean, what can we say, really? Yeah, Danny's just got that name recognition from Munguia. Joke of a fight, and I feel for Danny just being used as food for resumes now. Yeah, he kind of got stitched. I felt he beat John Ryder. The only thing I'll say about that fight is I felt Danny could have easily had a point or two off for consistent holding. So you could argue if that were the case, then yeah, John could have won that fight. But that whole fight was a shit show, man. That's great to hear, Apology Man. I now have a better paying job at a fancy restaurant. Anyway, how are things your end? I'm not doing too bad, Apology. I'm not doing too bad. Today is the end of this tax year, so I need to fucking do my self-assessment, which I'm not looking forward to. But apart from that, bro, it's not going too badly. It could be better, could be worse. You know how it is. You know how it is. Kalle Sauerland agreed to 15 kilograms today as a starter. I can't see any non-heavyweight champion beating Fury or Usyk. Right now, I would tend to agree. Wish we got to see Dubois flatten Dave Allen. Yeah, he would have fucked Dave up. Yeah, Dave Allen turning down 300 grand to fight Dubois. Yeah, that was an absolute joke. Eddie Hearn advised him to do that as well. And now, and quite recently, Dave Allen revealed that, and he's basically moaning about it. Bro, you had the choice to take it. Listen, Larry, I'm not going to lie to you. At the time when that fight was being discussed, I was picking David Haye. In retrospect, I would pick Tyson Fury. And at the time I was picking Tyson Fury to beat David Price, but I wasn't picking Tyson Fury to beat David Haye. But in retrospect, I would pick Tyson Fury, yeah. Dave Allen was such a novelty act. I'm still proud of myself for picking David Price to beat him. I picked fucking Dave Allen. I think I picked Dave Allen anyway. That was 2019, man. How time flies. How time flies. How time flies. Yeah, Dave Allen pays to fight now. Yeah, he's paying to get himself on those Dennis Hobson shows. Yeah. Yeah, you might be right, Bump of K. Yeah, the Haye fight in 2013 was very dangerous for Fury to take, being so inexperienced. Yeah, and that would have been the fight after Steve Cunningham, where he got dropped heavily. So yeah, it would have been dangerous. It would have been a great fight though. Can't lie, I picked Chisora to beat Fury in the rematch. So embarrassing, bro. I picked fucking Deontay Wilder to beat Fury in that second fight. So I can't talk shit. I picked Fury to beat both to beat Chisora both times. I picked Vlad. I picked Vlad to beat Tyson Fury, and I picked Deontay Wilder to beat Fury in the first two fights. So my track record with Tyson Fury isn't particularly great. But to be honest, though, my heavyweight predictions have never been great. That's why I kind of ducked out on the Usyk prediction with Joshua, because I just couldn't really split it. In regards to, like, I could see Usyk outboxing Joshua, but I could see him getting caught. So I just bottled it. I never made a prediction video. I shat myself, you know? And by the way, guys, potentially there's a small chance of this, a small chance of a stream for the Golovkin fight on Saturday. Small chance. Not going to promise anything, but small chance. It depends again. I'm fucking busy at the minute. I'm fucking busy, but what desperate promoter would sign Jarrell Miller? I could name a few. I could name a few. Maybe Frank Warren. Maybe Lou DiBella. Yeah, exactly. Bump of K. In retrospect, yeah, I'd pick Tyson Fury. Great fight. Great fight. Ray Vargas is very tall and long, and he's got a decent work rate. Doesn't hold his feet often. And Magsayo's a guy. He's actually quite a good counterpuncher, but he likes to hold his feet when he throws to generate his power. I could see a scenario where it's a bit of a cagey fight, a pick'em fight. It's Ray Vargas's movement versus Magsayo's aggression. I think it's going to be a close fight. I think it's going to go the distance as well. But I'm not picking yet. I wish Luke Campbell never retired. I feel like he would have been in some very good fights after Garcia. I guess, though, at that point, I mean, he was an Olympic gold medalist, and he turned pro to be a world champion. I think after the Garcia fight, he just realised he wasn't good enough to be a world champion. Yeah, he could win a vacant title, but he was never truly world class, and I think he realised that, and he retired because of it. The biggest upset you picked and got right. You're going to have to take my word for it, and it was Tony Thompson versus David Price first time around. In retrospect, that doesn't seem like a big upset, but at the time it was huge. Worst pick I've ever made, Tavoris Cloud beating Adonis Stevenson. After seeing Florian Marku's fight, he's a goat in the making. I wouldn't go that far. He's fun. Yeah, exactly. He is unpredictable. I picked Campbell to knock out Ryan Garcia, and I'm still upset about that. I stood straight up when Luke floored him and got put right back down when Ryan stopped him. To be honest, though, I wouldn't call that a terrible pick. I can understand why you came to that conclusion. I was picking Ryan, but I can understand why people were picking Luke. Kind of. But this is a bad one. This is a bad one. Picking Luke Campbell to beat Loma. That's a bad one. That's up there with my Tavoris Cloud beating Adonis Stevenson. Alex Bellotti, I hereby pick Chris Van Heerden, tricky southpaw, to beat Conor Harvey-Price with ease. Don King would sign Jarrell Miller. Indeed, he would. Yeah, Larry, I heard it as well. I don't think Ray Vargas is overrated. To be overrated, you have to be rated. I don't think anybody really rates Vargas like that. In my not that I've seen anyway. Maybe you're looking in different places to me. Too early, LR. Far too early for Florian Marku to beat Avanesian. Far too early, in my opinion. That's a good fight, yeah. Trevor Bryan, Jarrell Miller. Yeah, the Cloud pick was horrible, man. Absolutely horrible. Like I hear people talk about this all the time when they talk about their worst picks. And then they'll say something like, well, I picked Vladimir Klitschko to beat Tyson Fury. No, that's not a terrible pick. 99% of people were picking Vladimir to beat Fury. That's not a terrible pick. It was an upset. That wasn't a terrible pick. People, listen, I picked fucking Tavoris Cloud to beat fucking Adonis Stevenson. Picking Wilder to beat Tyson Fury in the second fight was bad in retrospect. I've made some shit picks, man. I picked Dave Allen to beat David Price. You know? Yeah, I got that right as well. I never made an official prediction, but I bet on it. I bet on Nakatani. Oh, big up to True Crime with G-Man. Salute. I've got Inoue again, but I think this time he ends it by stoppage. Who do I think Florian Marku could beat? I think on the right day, he could beat someone like Chris Congo, but Chris Congo could easily beat him as well. If Chisora had a gas tank, he'd have a chance with Usyk. Usyk struggles with unconventional boxers like Usyk, Wilder, Fury, etc. Interesting theory. G-Man picked Allen over Price. So did Brain Rats. Yeah, I wasn't the only one, Ben. Maybe that's not really an awful pick like that. Actually, no. I think Dave Allen was the favourite. So again, can you really call that an awful pick? Like you can see why people picked Dave Allen, but I can't see why I picked Tavoris Cloud in retrospect. What the fuck was I thinking? I picked Allen to beat Price actually, and the worst thing is all of my picks are packed with money. See, with me, I rarely bet these days. Because I could get a bet right, I could still lose if the judges fuck it up. I picked Daenerys to beat Inoue in their first fight. I don't think that's a terrible pick. You could listen. Daenerys got crazy power. I can see why somebody would pick him. I don't think it's a terrible pick. He's bigger. He's stronger. He hits harder, arguably. I can see why you picked it. Usyk AJ rematch. You've got to go with Usyk again. Yeah, Alan's still talking about Babic. I'd like to see. I'll be honest. I'd like to see it, G-Man. I'd like to see it. Florian Marku has more power than I expected. He'll KO Amir Khan. I wouldn't mind seeing it, Volta. I wouldn't mind seeing that fight. I remember Hatman picked Spike O'Sullivan over Lemieux. That is a bad one. That is a bad one. Do you know what? A decent one I made recently was Nick Webb beating Eric Pfeiffer. Or Michael Pfeiffer, whatever his name was, because Pfeiffer went into that fight with a lot of amateur experience, and everybody was picking Pfeiffer everyone was picking Pfeiffer to win. But I'd actually seen Pfeiffer, and he was fucking awful. And I picked Nick Webb, and I made money on that fight as well, because I was convinced Nick Webb would knock him out. Basically, yeah, bump of K. That's how I had it as well. Dave Allen loses the early rounds, then Price runs out of gas. I picked Huey to beat both Pulev and Povetkin. Peter Fury's a convincing man. I thought Huey was coming into his element. I can see why you picked him against Pulev, but not against Povetkin, I'll be honest. I was certain Povetkin would beat him. Joshua will beat Usyk via Howard Foster stoppage. Anything is possible, bro. My worst pick was Hay beating Bellend both times. Maybe the second time was worse. Yeah, the second time is a bad pick. But again, first time around, David Hay was a resounding favourite. And I picked David Hay both times as well. And I was mad when Tony Bellew won those fights. I was mad because I was a big David Hay fan as a kid. So like nostalgia and that. I was mad when Tony Bellew beat him. I was pissed off, man. It ruined my day, because David Hay versus Tony Bellew 2 was like, I think it was either on the day of my birthday or the day before, one of the two. And I was pissed. No, I've not seen anything of it, bro. Pimp my sniper. I picked Webb over Wardley. I actually picked Wardley in that fight. But again, that's a domestic toss-up, innit? On paper, at least. Is Khan better than Chris Jenkins right now? I'd say so, as bad as Amir Khan is now. My worst recent pick was Liam Williams over Andrade. Yeah, I picked Andrade. I think, and I picked him on points as well. Again, Congo was favourite. That's not a bad pick. That's not a bad pick. What I'm saying is, I'm saying a pick where you really went out there, and there was no reason to. You just convinced yourself the upset was on, when in reality it was a fucking mismatch. Good for you, Volta, man. Nice, some nice money there. Again, I picked Mafalani in that fight. Yeah, we'll see with Boxer. They're making some good strides, Pimp My Sniper. They are making some good strides. I picked Tom Little to beat David Price. Now that one is that's a bad one, Colin. That is a bad one. Even for like, I know it's David Price, but that's a bad one. My favourite all-time fighter is James Toney. My favourite current fighter is the man on the screen right here, Beterbiev. Yeah, G-Man, he picked Hay both times as well. Huey couldn't punch a hole in a brown paper bag. Even going on the gear doesn't give him any power. Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was winning the first Bellew fight until his foot went, yeah. See, I never rated Ndongo. I always thought he was a flash in the pan. I picked Terence by stoppage mid-rounds. Yeah, bro. Some of his opponents, bro, Fabio Wardley, it look extremely suspect. Extremely suspect. Now, I wouldn't go that far. From what I was told, or from what I heard, Jenkins was offered the fight and his team turned it down, or Warren turned it down, one of the two. Pulev to beat Joshua. Now, that's a bad one. That's a bad one. Now, that's what I'm talking about. That's a bad one, in my opinion. LR, that's a bad one. That's a good pick. Best recent pick for me was Cambosos to beat Lopez on points. That's a good pick. I'll do one right now. Tagawa catches Ryan Garcia and stops him. He's got the punch trajectory to do it. He's got those looping overhands, which Ryan's susceptible for, with his chin in the air. But I think Tagawa just makes too many mistakes, technically, to be honest. I think that's a bad one. I know that fight was close in regards to odds, but I just couldn't see how your fight beat Gonzalez. I was confident that, and I made some money on Gonzalez as well. Like, the odds were closer than I was expecting, and I made money on Gonzalez. I couldn't believe that people saw that fight as competitive. Again, I know that Gonzalez was coming off that loss, but still. That is a bit of a shocker, as Bump of K said. Picked Kovalev to beat Ward in the rematch. That's not a bad pick, though, considering the first fight. Kudryashov over Dorticos. I thought Kudryashov was going to expose Dorticos' leaky defense. I think that's a bad-ish pick, but it's not like horrendous. It's not horrendous, right? Yeah, I was there at the Marku Jenkins fight. My Albanian cousins hooked me up with tickets. The stadium was full of Albanians with Gucci. Yeah, sounded like a good atmosphere, though. Good picks I've had. Warrington over Lee Selby. That's a good pick. Ward over Kovalev both times. Fury versus Wilder 2. Ava to beat Kelly. That's a bad one, actually. I kicked myself for that. I kicked myself for picking Josh Kelly to beat Avanesian. I went against my own instincts because I was saying the whole time for years Avanesian would beat Josh Kelly. But by the time my prediction video came around, I fucking bottled it. And I picked Josh Kelly on points. Going against your gut, never do it. Always go with your initial impression. That's what I would say. I was pissed. Yeah, that's quite a bad one. Tabiti to beat Dorticos. It's quite a bad one. Best picks I've made was Joyce versus Dubois, Arthur Yard 1, and Ugas Pacquiao and Catterall Taylor. Yeah, hang on. I got Joyce Dubois wrong. I got Yard Arthur 1 wrong, but I got the second fight right. Did I do a prediction for Pacquiao Ugas? I think I did. I think I picked Pacquiao. Got that wrong. And I did say Catterall would give Taylor a lot of problems, but lose, which he technically did. So I got that right. I picked Tio to beat his delusional thoughts. Horrible pick. And big up to Mad Chad, by the way. I just see you. Big up to yourself. No, I picked Canelo to beat Billy Joe. I picked Kuzmin over Hunter. Again, it was 2 unbeaten prospects, so I get where you're coming from. I picked Hunter to win, but yeah, I get where you were coming from in that one. I think I picked. Did I pick? I forget who I picked. Genuinely, I forget who I picked in that fight. I want to say Callum Smith. I'm pretty certain I picked Callum Smith, but I can't vouch for that. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say I remember. I never get a pick wrong. Call me Pimp My Bookies. I picked the zone to change the game. That is a bad pick, bro. I picked Eubank Jr. over Groves. In retrospect, a bit of a bad pick. I think I might have done the same, bro. I think I might have done the same. I'm not sure. Did I do a prediction video for that fight? Did I do a prediction video for that fight? I'm not sure if I did or not. I need to start logging my predictions. I did do a prediction for that fight. That's 4 years ago now. Jesus. Who did I pick? Hang on. Yo, whenever I recorded this video, by the way, my voice sounds jacked. What the fuck was I doing? I sound terrible. I picked Eubank Jr. I just listened to it. I picked Eubank Jr. I remember telling my brother that Fury was going to stop Wilder in the eighth round of a second fight. But I wasn't being serious when I said it. Well, he still got it right. A bad pick for me was Brook to beat Spence. But the irony is, I still think a prime Brook beats a prime Spence. Clearly, I'm a knucklehead that doesn't learn. I don't think that's a bad pick. I don't think it's a bad pick where you think to yourself, how did he pick that fight that way? I wouldn't think that because I picked fucking Brook myself. So maybe this is a good video topic. My worst fucking picks in boxing. I think that could be a good little video topic. I've got quite a few, man. Oh my god, I've got quite a few. I'm not sure whether you was here, Chris, but one of my worst ones was Tavoris Cloud to beat Adonis Stevenson. Now that's a bad one. That's a bad one. Luke picked Groves to beat Eubank. I picked Eubank, man. I listened back to it just now. My prediction. Cringing all the way through it. Jesus. Now, it's funny. Now Povetkin White 1 is a weird one for me. Officially, I picked Dillian White to win. However, on the week of a fight, I made a betting video and I was saying that the odds on Povetkin by knockout was too good to turn down. So I got it wrong, but technically, right? I don't know. I semi got it right. I'm taking some credit for it. I picked Gassiev to KO Usyk. I'm sounding like a fucking retard right now. I picked Gassiev as well. I've made some bad picks. The thing is, though, when you do this long enough, you're going to have a whole fucking list of bad picks. That's the thing. And that's what makes it fun as well. That's what makes it fun. You know, when you pick fights and put your opinion out there, it's stuck out there at that point. So it makes the fights a bit more fun as well. When you've put a prediction out there, and when you get it horribly wrong, it's like, fuck. But when you get it right, it's cool, man. It makes it more fun. Yeah, picking Wilder to beat Fury in the second fight is understandable. Picking Wilder to win the third fight is a bad pick. Yeah, I agree. I picked Wilder in the second fight, picked Fury in the third. Remember David Brophy? He fought Groves. I picked over Rocky Fielding and got KO'd in a round. Yeah, I picked Bentley as well. Maybe I've got a future bad pick incoming. Joe Smith to KO Beterbiev. Again, if it happens, let's say Beterbiev wins that fight. I don't think picking Joe Smith is bad, or I don't think it's a bad pick, because I can see the rationale behind why somebody would pick it. It's realistic to me. So even if that doesn't go your way, I wouldn't call it a bad pick. I picked Maurice Hooker to beat Jose. Do you mean Ramirez? I picked Ramirez in that fight. I actually got that one right. I picked Quinlan to beat Jacobs, but I think that was seen as a 50-50 before the fight. Yeah, it was. It was. And also thought De Gale would beat Eubank. I actually picked Eubank to beat De Gale. I got that right. And I don't think I did a prediction for Quinlan versus Jacob. Yeah, me and you both got caught out by Bentley versus Cash. Indeed, we did. Horribly as well. We got our pants pulled down on that one. I picked the Russian against Cash. He was a massive outsider and actually thought he won the fight. Yeah, that was a great fight. That was against Madaev. Yeah, I actually felt Cash won the fight by a point. I think I had it by a point. Like, people were calling that fight a robbery. I mean, take the knockdowns aside, Cash won a lot of rounds in that fight, in my opinion. I think Cash won that fight by like a point. I picked my dad to come back from the shops 15 years ago. That could turn out to be an awful pick. Oh, man. Remember, Lara Warrington won. After 2 rounds, I said that Lara's crap and turned the fight off. I won't lie, I did pick Billy Joe to beat Canelo. See, listen, I think that's a bad pick. I'll be honest. I think that's a bad pick. I could never see a way Billy Joe could beat Canelo. Even like with the movement and the herky-jerky style, the southpaw stance, you know, Canelo kind of struggles against that style. Even if he won the fight, he wasn't getting the decision. So I couldn't. I picked Ugas to beat Porter. I felt he beat Porter, then got robbed. Yeah, I felt Ugas beat Porter as well. Mine is really bad. I picked Fielding to beat Canelo. I'll come off it, Jamie. Surely not. Surely not. That's probably the worst I've heard tonight. That is probably the worst I've heard tonight. That's worse than my Tavoris Cloud to beat Adonis Stevenson. That's bad. That is bad. Sorry to dumb this stream down to Jake Paul, but anybody who thought Ben Askren would beat him needs to take a look at themselves. The last person I picked to beat Canelo was Sergey Kovalev, and I fucked that up. I actually got that fight right. I'm pretty sure I picked Warrington. No, I might be lying. I'm not sure. I'm not sure who I picked in that fight. I'm not sure. Did I do a prediction video for it? Look, did I do a prediction for it? I did do a prediction for it. Who did I pick? Oh, I picked fucking I picked Cole Frampton to beat Josh Warrington. I just listened to my my prediction. I kicked myself out the strip. I can hear myself talking. Fuck's sake. Hang on. Okay. That should be okay. What? I've completely fucked my stream up. Hang on 1 second. Yeah, there we go. That should be better now. I forget where I was, so apologies if I've missed anybody's comment. Madchad's got a feeling Ryan's going to lose. I disagree, to be honest. Disagree on that one. I think Emmanuel Tagawa makes too many mistakes, particularly with that jab, like I was saying earlier. He's got a long reach, but again, he's an orthodox fighter, but despite his long reach, he's got a horrible habit of leaning in with a jab where he'll throw the jab, he'll reach in, lean over his front foot, and his right hand will drop as well. So he's completely open for Ryan Garcia's counter left hook. It's silly things like that. He's very gangly, very unorthodox, but he makes a lot of mistakes technically, in my opinion. I think Ryan knocks him out. Back when I was doing betting tips, I was on an amazing run. Every week we were making profits. Then I got invited onto a sports podcast with a couple of thousand listeners. It was my moment to shine and show my technical knowledge. I picked cleverly to beat Bellew in the rematch facepalm. I think I picked Bellew to win that fight. My only rationale was, Cleverly won the first fight, but Bellew was so horribly drained that I felt in the rematch he would just be in a much better condition, and I never saw Cleverly as a guy who improved from then, so I just picked Bellew based on that. But that's kind of a bad one. But yeah, I made money on the McGregor fight. I made money. I mean, the odds were way too close in that fight, Conor versus Floyd. Yep. Indeed. Yeah, it's crazy, bro. It's crazy. That's the way you've got that. That's it, though, G-man. Like, that's where you can make money in boxing. It's when you bet somebody individually. That's when you can make money, especially against casuals. I know that might be a bit exploitative when you're betting a casual, you know, but mad chat. I picked Dave Allen every time. Yeah, so did I, Joe Jackson. I picked Dave Allen to beat David Price. Yep, so did I. I picked Povetkin to beat Joshua. It was me hoping that Joshua would lose and confidence in Povetkin. Yeah, I picked Joshua to win that fight, but like, if somebody said to me, I'm making a bit of an out there pick, I'm going to pick Povetkin to win, I wouldn't have called them crazy. You know, I wouldn't have called them crazy. I could see a scenario in which Povetkin could win the fight at the time. You know, in retro, like, before the fight happened, I wouldn't call somebody crazy for picking that. But I'm talking about like absolute howlers. But I think it's a good video topic to like just be honest and say, you know, go through your worst picks. Because it's very easy for us to, you know, sit here and brag about our fucking fights we got right and all that shit. But, you know, I'd rather listen to somebody talk about the fights they got wrong. I find it more entertaining, to be honest. I find it far more entertaining. Maybe I'll do that soon. Like top 5 worst boxing picks. I'd have to think about it because I've made a few. I picked Coogan to have a leg transplant by 2022. Yeah, Tommy Fury's fighting on the Tyson Fury undercards. Yeah, the guy he's fighting actually has a good record, but that doesn't mean much. Yeah, exactly, yeah. Yeah, Beterbiev knocks himself out by laughing so hard. Bro, Randy Orton. That's the world we live in a nutshell. All it takes is for media to point at a certain group or a certain country. They point and say that's the bad guy, and the vast majority of the public will eat it up. Yet in the meantime, they will say nothing about events being held in certain parts of the world. They'll say nothing about, you know, UK supplying Saudi Arabia with weapons to fucking destroy Yemen. I mean, we live in it's just such a hypocritical world that we live in, you know. It is what it is, though. I tend not to try and get wound up by that sort of stuff anymore. Oh, well, I try not to anyway. I picked Dell to get pussy in views and retire by next year. Here's hoping, bro. Here's hoping. That'll be nice. That'll be nice. I also picked Marcus Brown to beat your favorite fighter. I thought it would be competitive, I'll be honest, which it was for a couple of rounds. But yeah, I was picking Beterbiev. I was picking Beterbiev. One thing I've noticed about me when it comes to picking fights, I've got a very bad habit of being won over by power far too easily, like punch power. It wins me over far too easily. And I can see there's been numerous fights where I've seen one fight as a better technical boxer, but I still go with the power puncher just because I delude myself into thinking the guy's going to get caught. I overestimate power far too much in my predictions. That's one habit I've always had. I definitely overrate power. Not accusing anyone here, but there was a few people going around saying Charles Martin would beat Joshua. I definitely picked Joshua. I don't think I've ever picked Huey Fury in a big fight. I picked Parker against him. I picked Povetkin. I forget about Pulev, though. Media know human psychology and how to program, unfortunately. Humans are very predictable in the majority, yeah. Yep, it's called television programming for a reason, right? I don't even own, well, I don't pay for a TV license right now. I don't watch TV, genuinely. I've never paid for a TV license ever since I moved out and lived on my own. Never paid for a TV license. And neither do I plan to. Specifically, I've got B-Roll versus Canelo by stoppage. No bait. This comment may age awfully. Please remember this anyway. You got B-Roll by stoppage. Yeah, you can't really make it up, Randy Orton. You can't really make it up, bro. But again, it's not worth getting wound up about, bro. I heavily overestimate skill and movement a lot. Dalton Smith, yeah, good prospect, like you said. He's got some snazzy little moves. I like his counter-punching ability. He's got a good variety in his work as well. Decent hand-eye coordination. But yeah, sometimes it feels like he needs to go through the gears, and it feels like he's holding back. But maybe that'll just come with experience. But he's certainly a guy worth keeping an eye on. I wouldn't write him off per se, but at the same time, I wouldn't call him like a A-level, A-star prospect. He's a solid prospect. And sometimes, yeah, sometimes I pick fights like that. I'll look at it technically, but sometimes you just get a gut feeling. Not really based on anything. I get you, Mike. You have far too much faith in people. Yeah, defensively he needs to tidy up, but if he's matched correctly and he's given the fights, I think he can improve. He's got a good trainer in Grant Smith, his dad, so he can definitely improve. I wouldn't write him off. I picked Charles Martin to beat Ortiz. I picked Ortiz. But again, Ortiz at that age, I can understand why you'd pick against him. I actually picked Wilder first time, both times, obviously. I picked Wilder first time around. And listen, people don't like to give credit to Wilder for that win, but a lot of people were picking Ortiz. A lot of people were picking Ortiz. A lot of people were. What's the biggest letdown of a boxing performance you can think of? Biggest letdown? That's a hard one. Biggest letdown? That's a hard one. I'd have to really think about that. Thoughts on Joe Cordina? He's clearly skilled, Joe Cordina, but he just strikes me as one of those guys who is not suited for the top level of the pro game. I don't know why. It's just the impression I get. I'll be honest, I've not really watched Joe Cordina like that. Don't get me wrong, I've watched him fight, but he's one of those guys who just doesn't hold my attention to where I really look at him. Does that make sense? I'm not particularly impressed. He's a good domestic fighter, probably European level, but can he get beyond that? I'm not sure. I admire faith in humanity, people, but that ship has sailed for me. Yeah, tell me about it, bro. Tell me about it. And that's not necessarily a defeatist attitude. But, you know, you got to take shit into your own hands. I picked Wilder over Stavern 1 first time. Yeah, but even Sky Ringside, they all picked Stavern. Yeah, a lot of people were picking Stavern in the first fight. A lot of people were. I picked Wilder. I picked Wilder by, I think, late knockout or seventh. I think it was 7th round knockout. I'm sure. I know, bro. I said that on Twitter. I said that on Twitter, bro. Listen, all of these different cabals are evil. You know, they're just on. It is what it is, man. I try and stay away from geopolitics and shit like that these days. I try and concentrate on me and those I love now. I just try to. It's crazy. I'm saying that when I do the second channel, that I do, but I try and stay away from like geopolitics, like for the most part. You know, it is what it is. Pretty sure Joe Cordina's fighting for the IBF belt. I've not even heard that. Kambosos versus Haney pick. I need to think about it. I'm not. It's one of those fights where I'm not confident to say off the top. I need to think about it. Very good fight though. I like that fight a lot. I'm pleased that we have a resolution at lightweight, whether it would be Kambosos versus Loma or Haney. I'm just pleased we have that fight now. Good fight. Very good fight. Not sure though. To tell you the truth, not sure. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, Errol Spencer's bought like a ranch. Yeah, he seems to be living that country life now, calming down a bit, which is good. That sounds like the ideal life, man. Have a bit of land, you know, grow a few crops, have a few animals. Sounds like a good life. Fair play to him, man. If I had enough money, I'd probably do something similar. To be honest. Maybe one day we'll get there. Who knows? Fingers crossed. A nice piece of land, middle of nowhere, away from people. That'd be ideal. That'd be nice. Yeah, you don't want to get to the point where you're like, you've gone so far down the rabbit hole where you completely lose faith in everything and be a doom and gloom merchant. And that's one thing I think the truther community do wrong. They act like there's no way out and that we can't succeed, we can't prosper. I think the truther community, and by the way, I don't like that term, but let's just call them that. They do some good work, don't get me wrong. But I don't like the underlying message that they portray for the most part, which is it's hopeless, it's done. I don't like that message. I don't like that defeatist attitude that most of those guys put out there. They put out that negative energy, that defeatist energy, that nothing's going to get better, you know? Fuck that shit. Regardless if society goes down the fucking drain, I'm going to try and get myself out of it. Whether I do or not, who the fuck knows? But, you know, can't lose that. You can't lose that fight, you know? Kambosos KOs Haney. In my opinion, Haney struggles at 135, and this is his most dangerous fight, his most dangerous opponent yet. Yeah, he's definitely struggling at 135. There's no doubt about it. And that could be the difference. That could absolutely be the difference. Force on Maximus Jenkins versus TBA in a hotel Imperial in Czech Republic. Yeah, exactly. Just 20 years ago, we illegally invaded a third world country on a lie they had WMDs. Yep. Yeah, agree. Moral landscape is cloudy as fuck. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, yeah. There's been doom and gloom mongers for years, and we're still here. Yeah. Who would you pick for Taylor versus Crawford? Terence Crawford. I picked Terence in that fight. You have to pick Terence Crawford right now. He's more adept at welterweight. He's been there longer. Josh Taylor looked awful in his last fight. I think you've got to pick Terence Crawford. You've got to pick Terence Crawford right now. It's the sensible pick. I've got Crawford, but it's a good fight still. Listen, I'm not writing off Josh Taylor just because of his last fight. It's one fight at the end of the day. Shit happens, you know. Fighters can have off nights, weight cuts, etc. There's different things. It's just one fight at the end of the day, but I'd pick Crawford. Crawford has one weakness: Florian Marku's existence. Yeah, listen, man, Florian Marku, man, he's building a fan base. He's building a fan base. Can't argue. And I like him. I like watching him fight. He's fun. Haney's a weight bully. Can't see him coping at all. Kambosos is a really good body puncher. Yeah, he is a good body puncher. He's an underrated counter puncher as well, but Kambosos is really good at countering while applying pressure. He's a bit of a front foot counter puncher. His lead hand control is underrated, and he's really good at drawing the lead, and he can land those sneaky counters. But I'm not sure whether Devin's going to give him those counter opportunities, given Devin's style. I'm not sure. Good fight. It's a good fight. Heading off, Del. Respect, man. Respect to the chat too. Peace all. Peace to yourself, Marianne G. Have a good night. And if you could smash the like on the way out, be much appreciated. And yeah, if you could smash the like in general, be very appreciated. Yeah, that is true. Crawford has had his own struggles, like against Kavalauskas. That's true. Good point, Bruce. This is a good point. I like this. Off nights were accepted when they fought 3 times a year, once a year, and no room for a bad night. I agree. Yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah, that is true. That is true. I can't argue with that. When I watch Marku talk, I can't help but grin. I don't get all of his haters. I think he's funny as fuck, man. He's entertaining. No, I'm not sitting here saying Florian Marku is the next coming of Roberto Duran. I just think he's a fun fighter. He'll get found out when he steps up, but he's fun. He's fun. It's not always about being a fucking world level guy, you know, winning multiple world titles. There's room for fighters lower down than that as well. And Marku, like I say, Marku's fun to me. I like him. Kambosos fights with passion, and with a large crowd there, I think it's his fight to lose. But Devin Haney's recently signed a deal with Top Rank, so maybe the away factor for Devin Haney's not as big a factor as people think it is. I'm talking about judging. Yeah, Kambosos is quick too. He's going to hit Haney a lot. Jojo, a featherweight, hit him so easily and even rocked him a lot. I can't see how Haney wins at all. After 6, he declines badly. Yeah, it seems to be a bit of a theme at lightweight where he's kind of tailing off at the end. Yeah, in fights, and I think that's just down to the weight cut. Honestly. Yeah, again, I do think 70% of Taylor's skill was his weight at 140. He gets hit too much and will continue to get hit clean and often. He was a weight bully for a long time. There's that as well. Like, size was a big part of Josh Taylor's game at 140. Yeah, smash that like or you'll get 2 nasty men knocking on your door at night. Yeah, the facts. Yeah, me too. Marku's doing okay. Marku's doing okay. I reckon the Albanian mafia are involved with Marku's fights. Who knows, man? Who knows? I'm here for it, man. I'm here for it. I like Marku. I'm here for it. I'm here for it, man. One second, let me just. Glad you said it, Del. I've been getting shit for saying Haney would more likely get help than Kambosos with judging. A powerful promoter is more important than home advantage. Kambosos has to win big. Yeah, I agree. It's like who do the powers that be want to win this fight? And primarily, it seems that it's a top rank backed fight. And obviously, on top of that, Devin signed a deal with Top Rank. So there's that to consider. There is that to consider. You know. Yeah. See, I think Marku. I think Marku's quite genuine with his approach. I think I've said this before. I think Marku is who he's portraying. I think he's a bit of a nasty guy. He's got that mean streak. I think that's just him. Whereas someone like Alan Babish, I think that's a gimmick. Florian Marku's the guy who Alan Babish is trying to be or pretending to be. That's how I see it. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm Greek as well as Albanian. I have to back Kambosos. Fair play, man. Kambosos is winning by KO. Judges won't matter. I'm looking forward to it, man. It's a good fight. It's a good fight. It's a good fight. We've got some really good fights coming up in general, man. We've got some really good fights. But anyway, guys, I need to wrap this up. I promised a man about a dog that I would give him a call. So I need to wrap this up. Peace, guys. Have a good week. I'll try and get a couple more videos uploaded as well. Slight chance of a Golovkin Murata live commentary. We'll see how it goes, though. But yeah, man, have a good week, guys. Peace.